Hello everyone, and once again welcome to my channel Engineering Medicine Pearl. Now, today is the fifth lecture from the wireless networks course. So today we are going to discuss about wireless local area networks. So there is a part 1 to this lecture of this particular topic as well. So refer to the part 1 of wireless local area networks. The link of the part 1 I will give in the description of this video. So for those who have missed the part 1 can refer to it and understand wireless local area networks. So in this lecture we are going to primarily focus on the various type of wireless local area network technologies that are available, that is WLAN technologies. Now WLAN technologies. Now what do you mean by WLAN technologies? WLAN simply stands for wireless local area networks. And what is the meaning of technologies? There are different technologies by means of which you can implement a wireless local area network practically in for practical purposes. So there are three wireless local area network technologies available. So that's what is written over here. There are three types of technologies available in WLAN, that is wireless LAN. First one is infrared WLAN technologies. Second one is UHF narrowband technologies, and third one is spread spectrum implementation of WLAN. Now what is this? We will understand these three topics in detail in this video. So stay tuned. So why they are named as technologies? Infrared WLAN technologies, UHF narrowband technologies, and spread spectrum implementation. So basically we are making use of the wireless signal in that part of the electromagnetic spectrum. So whenever I am saying that I am designing a wireless local area network using infrared WLAN technology, meaning by the signals which the radio signals which I am using for transmission and reception for communicating in within the WLAN, they fall in the infrared band of the electromagnetic spectrum. Same is the case with UHF narrowband technologies. And by spread spectrum implementation of WLAN, I mean that the radio signals or the wireless devices that are communicating in a given wireless local area network are using spread spectrum technique of modulation and demodulation. So first one is infrared technology implementation of WLAN. So this type of transmission is most effective when a clear line of sight exists between the transmitter and receiver. Now there are two types of infrared WLAN technologies available, that is within the infrared wireless local area network there are two types. First one is diffuse beam and second one is direct beam. As the name suggests, direct beam is more directional and hence uh, high data speeds are achieved. Now what is the simplest example of a wireless local area network using direct beam technology? Most your wireless routers use direct beam technology. Suppose think I have two devices or three devices connected in my home using a wireless local area network, that is a wireless router, and sometimes in the router specification we read that it uses direct beam technology. Now what is this direct beam? So a direct beam is formed between the connected device and the router or the network resource. So because of which there is clear line of sight in between them, and as it is directional, so it is a wireless virtual path is achieved in between them. So the direct beam type of infrared WLAN is more directional and hence high data speeds are achieved. So the direct beam technology used in router may or may not be infrared. But what is direct beam? I wanted to make this concept clear to you all. And the second type of implementation in infrared technology is diffuse beam technology. Now what is diffuse beam technology? Diffuse beam technologies use reflected rays to transmit or receive a data signal. Hence it achieves a lower data rates in the 1 to 2 Mbps range. Suppose you have implemented a wireless local area network using infrared wireless technology, but it is using diffuse beam infrared technology. And what is the meaning of the term diffuse? That is the transmission and reception between the different wireless devices that are connected in a WLAN takes place by means of reflector rays. So when the waves get reflected each and every time, some quality of the signal gets degraded, and hence lower data speed is achieved. That is lower data rates in 1 to 2 Mbps range. Now, if you are implementing a wireless local area network in practical life and for practical purposes, suppose think for your laboratory or your home office, you are considering connecting it using a wireless local area network. What are the considerations you should look for when you are choosing to implement a wireless local area network using infrared technology? So, considerations for choosing infrared technology are advantages. Now, no government regulations are available for controlling use because it is a unregulated frequency band. And another advantage which infrared technology provides is immunity to electromagnetic and RF interference. So this is. Now, what are the disadvantages when it comes to infrared technology implementation of WLAN? Generally, it is a short range technology. Means if you want to have a large your wireless local area network to have a large coverage radius, then it is not advisable to go for this technology. So generally, the coverage radius of wireless local area network using infrared wireless technology is 30 to 50 feet only under ideal conditions. Another is infrared signal, that is signal having frequencies in the infrared band of the electromagnetic spectrum will not penetrate through solid objects that are present around, and the signal can be easily affected by light, snow, ice, fog, and dirt can also interfere with your infrared signal. So these are all the considerations, and while considering to implement wireless local area network technology using infrared technology, you need to consider the advantages, that is pros and cons of the infrared technology. Now we move on to learn the next type of implementation of WLAN. Now let us study WLAN implementation using UHF narrowband technology. Now, what is this UHF narrowband technology? UHF stands for ultra high frequencies. That is the signals that will be transmitted by various WLAN components here in this type of network will be from the ultra high frequency band of the electromagnetic spectrum. And by narrowband, we will see that a little bit later. So let us start discussing UHF narrowband technology implementation of WLAN. So these systems normally transmit in the 430 to 470 megahertz frequency range, and some of the wireless devices using UHF narrowband technology also transmit in the 800 megahertz range, but such devices are very rare. The lower portion of this band, that is 430 to 450 megahertz, is referred to as the unlicensed part of the radio frequency spectrum. So anybody can use it without the permission of government telecom regulatory authority. And the upper portion of this band, that is 450 to 470 megahertz, is referred to as the protected or licensed band. So if you want your devices to use frequencies from this part of the band, you need to take proper permissions, or you need to go for licensing, RF site licensing to your appropriate government agency. So now, because independent narrowband RF systems cannot coexist on the same frequencies, government agencies allocate specific radio frequencies to users through RF site licensing. So what does this mean? So if there are n RF systems, the n RF systems cannot use the same frequency, and in that case the government agencies come into picture and allocate different RF frequencies to different users using RF site licenses. And these RF frequencies which the government agencies allocate are mostly from the protected, that is the licensed band of the UHF radio. So now let us understand why it is known as narrowband technology also. So in order to have many RF frequencies generated to RF users, the bandwidth allocated to each user is less, and narrow bandwidth is of 12.5 kilohertz to 25 kilohertz. That's why the name narrowband technology. Because in this technology, it uses the frequency from the ultra high frequency band of the electromagnetic spectrum, but a very small chunk or very small bandwidth is allocated to each RF user, radio frequency user. The frequency band allocated to each RF user is very small, that is of the order of 12.5 kilohertz to 25 kilohertz. that's the reason it is known as UHF narrowband technology. And the transmit power in this case is 1 or 2 watt. So this is an advantage for this type of technology. So narrow bandwidths combined with high transmission power increases the coverage radius of transmission. So narrow bandwidths combined with high transmission power of the order of 1 or 2 watts results in large distance transmission. And another important feature of this technology is ultra high frequency system use synthesized radio technology. Now what is this technology? Now what do you mean by radio technology? Radio is nothing but radio is a generic term used for wireless transmitter and receiver, which is used for transmission of radio waves. So what do you mean by synthesized radio technology? Synthesized radio technology uses a single standard crystal frequency and drives the channel frequency by dividing the crystal frequency down to a small value, then multiplying it up to the channel frequency. So basically in synthesized radio technology, uh, a crystal gives a standard frequency value, and that frequency value is after doing certain mathematical manipulation uh, can be used to compute the desired channel frequency, and the crystal is used to generate this particular frequency. So that's the reason it is known as synthesized radio technology, because the frequency is synthesized over here or generated over here. So the division and multiplication factors are unique for each desired channel frequency and are programmed into digital memory in the radio. And what is the meaning of radio? That is a wireless transmitter or receiver that is using UHF narrowband technology, and that is encoded in it at the time of manufacturing by the vendor itself. So now, modern UHF systems allow access point to be individually configured for operation on one of the several program frequencies. Now, what is the meaning of access point? I have mentioned it in the earlier part 1 of this lecture. Now, what is access point is nothing but it is a wireless LAN equivalent of a LAN hub. It transmits, receives, and buffers and transmits the data within a wireless local area network, and it is also an access point to the network. So what is an access point? An Ethernet backbone cable is running to which a wireless antenna is attached, and that is transmitting the data wirelessly to different devices which are connected in a single WLAN or multiple WLANs. So that is known as access point. So an access point is basically a wireless local area network equipment that allows user to connect to network resources. So that is what is given here. So modern UHF systems allow access points to be individually configured for operation on one of the several program frequencies. So now terminals are programmed with the list of frequencies used in the installed APs. So the devices which are communicating using a WLAN. Now what is the meaning of terminals over here? Network terminals meaning it can be your PC servers and so on. So whatever are the wireless devices that are exchanging information, they already have the information of the frequencies that the access points are using. So any terminal connected to a wireless local area network can dynamically change its frequency while roaming from the set of installed frequencies from the access point. So it can change the frequency automatically. Now when to go for implementation of WLAN using UHF narrowband technology. So let us see what are the advantages of this particular technology. So it has the longest range, and it is a low cost solution for large sites with low to medium data throughput requirement. Now next, what are the disadvantages that need to be taken care of if you are going for UHF narrowband technology? So the disadvantages in using UHF narrowband technology are, so large radio, that is large transmitter and receiver size and antenna size increase the wireless client size. Okay, so the devices using the devices or the network elements or the wireless local area network equipments using UHF narrowband technology, the size of those would be large. So that is another disadvantage if you are looking for some compact implementation. And RF site licensing is required for the protected bands, that is the upper band which we discussed, that is 450 megahertz to 470 megahertz. and multi-vendor interoperability is absent. So no multi-vendor interoperability means what? What is the meaning of multi-vendor interoperability? It is an ability of devices to communicate between different vendor systems to reasonable degree and share data between these systems. Now what does this definition mean? That suppose I have a equipment of company X and I have equipment of company Y. They should be compatible with each other and should be able to communicate with each other. So in case of UHF narrowband technology, this feature is absent. So that is a major disadvantage. So if I have implemented a wireless local area network technology using UHF narrowband technology, yeah, then even if one network element or one your WLAN equipment goes out of order, or if I need to replace the component, then it should be procured from the same vendor itself. Because of the absence of multi-vendor interoperability, I cannot replace a single element of some different vendor. The implementation will fail in that case. So no multi-vendor interoperability. So that is another significant disadvantage. And then low data throughput is achieved and interference is also high, because the number of frequencies, we have very less number of frequencies, and if everybody around is using the frequencies within the same band, high interference risk is possible. Now the next and the last technology is spread spectrum technology of WLAN. Now what is the meaning of spread spectrum technology? Now what do you mean by spread spectrum, by the way? Now in spread spectrum technology, we take a baseband signal. Now what is a baseband signal? Baseband signal is a signal which is not modulated. That is a signal that is available before modulation. That is known as baseband signal. So if you have a baseband signal of bandwidth, let's say of a few kilohertz, then we spread the signal of a band. Then we spread that signal which has the bandwidth of kilohertz over a band of megahertz wide channel. So that is known as spread spectrum technology. So now let us discuss spread spectrum technology implementation of WLAN, that is wireless local area network. So spread spectrum technology is a wideband radio frequency that uses the entire allocated spectrum in a shared fashion, as opposed to divide it into discrete private pieces as its narrowband. Now what this first point means here is that when we were discussing UHF narrowband technology, we saw that from the set of available RF frequencies, uh, each different was allocated some different channel frequencies. So each then that was given by the government agency or the wireless device which they are using. So an entire RF spectrum was sliced and given to each individual user, and it was fixed. Now in case of spread spectrum, it is not like that. Nobody will give you the frequency in pieces like this. So in spread spectrum technology, you have a wide range of frequencies available to you, and it is up to you how we are going to to you means it is up to the wireless devices using spread spectrum technology, that how we are to use the same network resources using a shared fashion. So there is no sharing happening in UHF narrowband technology. As opposed, here sharing happens. Instead of dividing it into smaller channel bandwidths, we give the entire spectrum to the user, and then sharing takes place. User means the wireless device. Now the spread spectrum system spreads the transmission power over entire usable spectrum. So actually this is less efficient use of bandwidth, because we are using high transmission power, and over the entire usable spectrum we are doing it. But with the use of spread spectrum technology, reliability, integrity, and security is achieved. So if you are thinking of implementing a wireless local area network where you are concerned more about the security aspect of it, you should go for spread spectrum technology implementation of WLAN. Now this bandwidth trade-off produces a signal that is easier to detect, provided that the receiver knows the parameter of the spread spectrum signal that is being broadcast. Now here as you can so here we can say we are using the bandwidth less efficiently, but because of the use of larger bandwidth, it is easier for the receivers to detect, provided the transmitter provided the receiver knows all the parameters of the spectrum signal which is being broadcast. If the receiver, but in this case there is a disadvantage also, if the receiver is not properly programmed or not tuned to its right frequency, a spectrum signal will look like background noise to it and it may ignore it. So in that case it may result in data loss. So it is the duty of the network designer or the equipment designer to tune the receiver to the right frequency when using spectrum technology. Now, commercially, spectrum technology offers data rates up to 2 Mbps. Now, in spectrum technology, there are two schemes that are commonly used to encode spectrum signals. That is, there are two different types of spectrum technologies available. First one is direct sequence spectrum, that is also known as DSSS, and the second one is frequency hopping spectrum. Now, what is FHSS? Now, frequency hopping spectrum uses a narrowband carrier that changes frequency in a pattern known both to the transmitter and receiver. If the receiver and transmitter are properly synchronized, the net effect is to maintain a single logical channel. So, logical channel is maintained if they are properly synchronized. And if to an unintended receiver, FHS is offered. Now, if a signal is received to an unintended receiver, what is the meaning of unintended receiver? Unintended receiver meaning the receiver, the signal is not meant for that receiver, but still it is receiving it. So in that case, our that receiver will be unintended receiver. So if by chance the signal is received by some unintended receiver, then it will consider it as short duration impulse noise, because this unintended receiver will not have the right frequency. It will not be synchronized to the right frequency of the transmitter. So that is, in that case, it will recognize it as a short duration impulse noise and ignore it. Now the second type of modulation, that is spectrum modulation technique, is known as direct sequence spectrum. Now what is this DSSS? DSSS generates a redundant bit pattern for each bit to be transmitted. The bit pattern is known as spreading code. The longer the code, the greater the probability that the original data can be recovered or received at the receiver. Now in this DSSS also, if the data is received or the signal is received to unintended receiver, it will consider it as a low power wideband noise and it is rejected, and it will be rejected by most of the narrowband receivers. So in today's class, we studied three different technologies by making use of which we can implement a WLAN. So now the book which I recommend to to refer for this particular topic is Wireless Communication and Networking by Vijay Kegar. So if you like this video, please do like, share and subscribe my channel, and please don't forget to click on the bell icon to get notifications of all my latest uploads. Please don't forget to subscribe my channel.